Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are watching me. If you're watching the kid right now, you know what day it is. That means it's Wednesday, and I got that midweek medicine for you. I'm Miguel Brown, your experience specialist and that mindset motivator. Let's get into something real good. I've been focused on and studying on and paying attention to in these last few weeks, and that is frustration, being frustrated with something. So we're gonna title this. Let's title this "Learning Frustrations Message." That's good. I like that. Learning frustrations message. So before I go further, let me define that a little bit more for you. Dictionary got frustration is a feeling of anger or annoyance caused by being unable to do something, right? I wrote down to be frustrated indicates that you are fully engaged in a particular thing or person, and that when you get to the point of frustration is when you are at your weakest point, because now you have given into the emotions and you probably want to quit or figure out a way out, right? Use my son for example. Other day, he's 5 years old. He likes to get himself dressed for school. All I do is iron the clothes. He does the rest. Like, Daddy, can I put my socks on? Can I put my pants on? Belt? Like, yeah, son, go ahead, do that. I like I love the independence. That's what we teaching them early, right? So this particular morning, some days he's not a morning person. Some days he wake up, he's smiling, hey, good morning, hello. And then there's other days he work up, he whining and crying. This was one of his whining and crying days. So he puts on, get his shirt on, struggle with his shirt a little bit. I help him out. Head kind of big. One of the buttons was done. He couldn't get it past his head, but I helped him out. He was okay with that, but he's still crying. So now he goes to put his pants on, and he goes to tuck his shirt in. And I literally watch him for about a minute fight with tucking his shirt in. I'm talking about he pushing it in. It's going between the belt and his pants in the loop. It's not his fingers getting wrapped up in the shirt. He just can't get in there. He has pushed so hard on his shirt that now it's pulling the shirt down like this, and the pants falling down. I'm like, man, you don't even have the pants up around your knees to even tuck it now. That's why you struggling. So he whining and crying, and I'm a believer like this. Any challenge that you have in your life, you got to face that thing, son, because anything that you do face, you got enough in you to overcome it. So I said, yes, I do put motivation on the kids. I walked them upstairs. I said, listen, you going to stay in this room by yourself until you figure out how to tuck that shirt in your pants, because you do it every day, and we almost at the end of the year. I don't want to hear it. I walk away, go get the other kids up, go do what I'm doing. I come back downstairs. He's smiling. His eyes white. They're not red no more. He feeling good and everything. I say, hey, you did it. Good job, son. I'm glad you worked that out. Point of that story is he got worked over by that shirt. He got completely frustrated. And because he got completely frustrated, it kicked over into his emotions, right? And since it kicked over into his emotions, he wanted to quit. He wanted to get mommy and daddy to help him. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to try to figure it out. He probably would have rather kicked them pants off and not even wear no pants. But I wouldn't let him. And at his weakest point, he needed daddy's strength to show him, you can do it, son. Just calm down. Pay attention to what you're doing. Get the shirt tucked in and finish it off. Remember, I said you at your weakest point. And see, because I've been studying this thing so much, I learned one thing, that to be frustrated, that means you're fully engaged with something, right? That means you have chose to stick around and face what it is that you dealing with, whether it's in your marriage, with your kids, at work, with a friend, by yourself, you against you and your fitness, whatever the scenario is, you have chosen to keep going forward. But you're frustrated by it because in all the questions you're asking, all the praying that you're doing, this thing ain't going away and it ain't getting no easier, right? So that means that you have to be able to stick around something and still hang in there even when you feel like quitting. That's a level of faith that you have to have. See, faithfulness and frustration go hand in hand. Faithfulness, frustration, in which I'm going to talk about later on, also greatness. These things go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. You're going to get frustrated. I can think of 1,000 times when, I'm looking for work, I'm getting frustrated. Me and my wife might have been having a situation, we getting frustrated with each other. We frustrated with the kids, all these different things, right? So God showed me 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 6 through 10, where verses 6, 7, and 8, it's pretty much Paul saying, I got this problem. It won't go away. God, take it from me. He asked God 3 times, take it from me. Remove it. Remove it. I don't want to deal with it no more. Like, please. And one thing that I love is that he referred to frustration as a thorn. Now, a thorn is a little thing, but it causes a lot of pain. Even when you pull it out, it still be hurting a little bit, right? So, verse 9, which once I got a hold of verse 9, and I really understood it and took it in, it showed me how I need to handle the areas that I was frustrated in. And once I allowed it to happen this way, things start turning around on its own and God started working for me. Verse 9, my grace is sufficient. My strength is made perfect in weakness. At the moment you are at your weakest point, that is when God shows up and he shows you his strength. And the reason why that God waits till you at your weakest point to show you his strength, so that at the end of the day, you can give God the glory and what it is. And so God takes joy, not that he wants to see us hurting and in pain, but God knows that if you remain faithful and you allow my grace to come in, you'll learn what you need to learn from this frustrating situation. And then you'll praise my name for it, right? Because I know I praise God just for my kids washing the dishes. I praise God. My back is hurting right now. I can't go to work like I want to. I can't work out like right now. But every day I wake up and I thank God for this pain because I'm learning something from it. I'm learning my strengths. I'm learning my weaknesses. And all these different types of things. So I constantly thank God for it. Okay? Your frustration is the thing that you constantly struggle with. Like, you can't pray it away. Like Paul, he asked 3 times and he couldn't get rid of it. My kids frustrate me. They do. I can't pray my kids away. My wife frustrates me. I can't pray her away. I frustrate my wife. She can't pray me away as much as she might want to. Like this Sunday, y'all don't know. My back went out on me on Sunday. I couldn't do nothing. I know this was one of them days wifey wanted to pray me away because I have messed up Mother's Day for it. I'm so sorry, wife. But so because you can't pray it away, what you need to learn to do is how to put it to work for you. Because that thorn not going away, so now you got to figure out what it is you need to learn from it, what you need to, how can it work for you, right? You pretty much look at it and you say, I fought long enough, so now how can me and you work together, right? And I learned that one thing, your frustration will show you what your strengths are. It's definitely going to show you what your weaknesses are. It'll help you focus. It'll help you learn a different level of faith. It'll, bring out some endurance in you. It's a teaching tool. It is definitely a teaching tool, right? And I learned through watching Pastor Stephen Furtick that temptation, if you take each letter in the word thorn, these 5 areas are typically the areas that we feel frustration in. So, and they are the T, which is temptation, the H, hardship, O, opposition, the R, rejection, and the N, a need, right? So in each one of these things, you can just think about any situation that you have in each one of these things of how you get frustrated. Temptation, you might be working out and not trying to eat certain food, and that food gets you. Your hardship, I lost my job. That was a hardship for me, right? So that I'm frustrated with that. The opposition, certain people that you just deal with in your life and they oppose you in any kind of way, and it's frustrating for you. The rejection, you looking for work and you getting rejected. You getting turned down by all these women you trying to talk to. You just trying to find one. You get rejected. In all these, anyway, you feel rejection, right? A need, you need money, you need things like that. You can't get it, you get frustrated about it, right? So because of that, it's a cycle that you deal with when you're dealing with frustration. And I look at it like this: first, you feel frustration, then you fight frustration, then you fail against that frustration, and then you flee from that frustration. So let's break it down like this. You feel frustration. I looked at it from the workplace, right? But when I lost my job, I felt frustration when I lost my job, right? That was my initial feeling frustrated, and I'm looking for jobs, right? My fight with frustration during that time period was, well, I'm constantly going out and I'm applying for these jobs and having all these interviews, but I'm not getting the response back that I want. Right? So I feel now the the failure feeling of frustration is now that because nobody is calling me back, I'm getting frustrated because maybe I'm not good enough to get these jobs, even though they telling me my resume is great. You know, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm lacking somewhere in the communication with my wife or my husband while we're having this problem. Maybe I'm not talking to my kids in the right way, or maybe I'm not disciplining them in the right way. So I'm failing in this. So then you flee from it, and to flee from it, you go back to that job situation. You know, you flee from it, and you what you do is you never really run from the frustration. That very thing that was frustrating you, that thorn in your side, you take it to another place, and you become you start feeling frustration in that pattern all over again. But now not only is everything frustrating you, but because you're in a frustrated, weak mindset, you become a frustration to somebody else. Not a good place. Not a good place at all. So when you face it, when you face frustration and you go through that whole process, feel, fight, fail, and flee, if you understand that when you try to use, when you embrace your frustration and you start trying to figure out how to make it work for you, it comes with the Trojan horse. And that Trojan horse, and frustration is like a devil type thing. Like that's like devil shit. Like you get frustrated in things, you spill anger and all these things like that. But it's a great message in there. That Trojan horse comes with God's grace. And because of God's grace, he gives you new strength, and he shows his strength. He gives you a different will and desire, and it also gives you peace. I got peace over my situations with my kids and cleaning up. I got peace when God's grace was working for me and me not finding work. You know what I mean? I got peace. Me and my wife, man, we get peace. When we have had an argument, but then we come back together and we embrace each other and we figure out what was wrong, and now we make it work for us. That's God's grace working for you, right? So understand one thing, and I'm gonna close out with these 2 points. If you aren't frustrated in life at all, that means you're complacent where you are in life. If you're complacent where you are in life, that means you're not trying anything new. I get frustrated with my kids because, one, I can't pray my kids away. But they constantly, if I sit back and listen, they're constantly teaching me how to be a better father. My wife and I get frustrated with each other at times, but when we sit back and listen and embrace where our frustration is coming from, we're learning from each other and we're growing. That situation on your job, you might be at a place you don't like at all. But if you sit back and clear your mind and don't give into the emotions, that weak point, and you let God's grace come in, you'll see what you need to learn from that position. So I'm going to close out with this, and I wrote down, frustration can lead you to your future if you learn how to handle it and use it and apply it. It will show you God's plan for your life and what God's purpose is, but if you choose to run and not face it, you'll always be stuck. So people, with that being said, I want y'all to remember, it's okay to be frustrated. But don't be so frustrated that you quit that thing that you have been faithful over and fighting over for so long without learning the lesson that you need to learn from it. So embrace your frustration. In your frustration, God's going to show you his strength through you. You'll be able to overcome what it is you're dealing with until the next thorn comes. And God shows you his plan for your life. But don't just lay down and not do anything with it, not talk about it, not communicate it, not be open about it. And then, so you're not in a complacent, stuck area. You're always learning, growing, and evolving. Because y'all know that's what I'm doing. So, that being said, I hope this is a blessing for y'all, because it was a blessing for me when I got this thing and I got the revelation of it. I love you guys. This is a long one. I'm sorry. Cut it off. Cut it back on if you got to. Like it. Share it. I'll see y'all next week, right? I'm out.